use some help in finding ways to live your life with meaning, purpose, and passion, and really live up to the maximum level of your truest potential? James Heppner wants to help you accomplish that very objective. He's a results coach who is motivated to help people establish the mental, physical, and emotional courage needed to do difficult things while guiding you to activate your ability to leverage the good news which lies at the heart of your wins and losses, providing you the perspective you need in order to look at life from a more wholesome and realistically positive view. Heppner joined me this week to talk to me all about experiencing both the wins and losses in life and how we can celebrate them both in order to grow both individually and collectively. I'm Kevin McShad. Let's have this conversation. Absolutely. So, James, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm excited to talk to you all about results this morning. Great to see you. And thanks for a few minutes, buddy.
Yeah. You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm just really appreciative to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, James, I know that you help people sort of gain results as a result of sort of the events that happen in their life and really help people look at life from a 360-degree view of positivity. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about all the great work that you do, buddy.
Gosh, Kevin, that's a mouthful what you just had there. I like that 360, right? And so gain from this, and oftentimes, let me just begin by saying positivity, I think, is so overrated. And I hear where you're coming from. And when I say overrated, a lot of people, when they say think positivity, they're like, well, how does that allow what I'm experiencing today? How does that allow me to benefit, right? And so the sum total of our life is we engage, we feel like we win, we feel like we lose. It's about how life goes. And so people think often, well, wait a minute, if it's positivity, then when I lose, I got to just convert it into something like positive and just amazing. And to some degree, though that may be helpful, I think also to another degree, there's something that we just call onboarding, accepting what it was, seeing the facts for what they are, and being okay with the facts for how they are. And so my work is all about helping individuals include all of what they experience in life. Instead of opting to exclude and to try to eliminate, it is to utilize all of life. And so majority of my people, let's just say 99.9% of my people, they come and they find me when they have reached out and they have done the courses, they've done the books, they've done the seminars, but they feel like there's something still missing. And you know what's missing? What they realize quite quickly is they're pushing away their life experience. What life gives us invites us to participate with it. And when we think that it's not for us and we want something other than, we're fleeing our presence. And when you flee your own presence, you're not going to benefit and you're not going to maximize the gift. You're not, like you say, I love it. You're not going to get the result. And the result you're looking for is when you eagerly participate and utilize the thing that's directly in front of you, whether it be a win, loss, or draw. You utilize it. You don't convert the loss to a positive. You take it for what it is. But invariably, what we all come to appreciate is we get to decide if life will be gain. So we gain more life when we onboard.
Yeah, absolutely. And James, you describe yourself as an artist of experience. It's a fascinating way to describe yourself. So why do you live your life through that motto, and what does that mean to you, buddy?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, I think we're all in this world about desiring an experience. Let's be honest. Think about it. Why does an individual buy a house? Why does an individual buy a car? Why does an individual get married? Why does a person not get married? We want to experience something. We want to experience an emotion. Emotion lies at the heart of what we want. So what we all want to experience is a felt experience of life. Think about it. Kevin, audience listeners, you go to a funeral. There's a casket or there's an urn, and they're going to sprinkle the ashes on the ocean, over the ocean, whatever they're doing. What we're also thankful for is that we got to remember this person. And probably we're wishing this person could be here. And where's here? And what does here mean? Well, for those that are attending this funeral, we're realizing that to be here means that we get to feel. And we would love if that person were to be here with us. So to be alive is to feel. To be alive is to feel. To be dead is to not feel. When the human doesn't feel, the human typically dies.
Yeah, and James, you're also passionate about sort of creating transformational experiences, buddy. As you said, to let people feel it, otherwise explore what it truly means to be alive. So what does it mean to you to create transformational experiences?
That's a great question. If we look at today's age, apparently everything is risk. COVID brought about this thing where apparently we can't stand next to each other, and that's big risk. And I understand we want to be sensitive and inclusive towards that because COVID's likely a real deal. Like how many people haven't died, whether the numbers are massaged, whether they're not. I've had COVID twice. It is something. COVID is something, right? However, if we're so risk adverse, and if we allow ourselves to constantly think that the human does not appreciate risk, think about the earlier settlers. They came, everything was risk. Without risk, there is nothing new to experience. So when I think transformation, what do we do with risk? So often we take an end run around risk. And what we try to do is we try to exclude it. So it's asymmetrical risk, perhaps. So some of the investors, some of the entrepreneurs, some of the successful people within the world, they talk asymmetrical. They want all the upside. They don't want the downside. Fair enough. So let's be honest. There's a healthy side of risk and an unhealthy side. But unless we onboard the healthy side of risk, everything in life is risk. Me being on the show is a risk today. You being on with me is a risk today, right? And so transformation is to integrate. If you do not integrate, integration means you bring on board it all. You don't exclude, you bring it into your life. You make it safe inside of this vessel. When you integrate, you create a transformation, which means it's a sustainable long-term effect, a long-term result in your life, of which is required no willpower. Once you transform, it is of you, you become it, it is there. You flex and you flow, and it is literally, like I say, it has become you. You are it. And that happens when you don't push out your experiences in life, win, lose, or draw, but you find a way to make safe. And that's the specific work that I do with my individuals. Make safe what they once thought was dangerous. And instead of being like, I conquered it, and therefore I never want to talk about it, I get it. We get through it. Not in spite of we get through, but because of. Life is the good news when we make good
and we integrate and we utilize and we make safe within us, meaning that we can hold this. And when somebody else experiences the thing that we just got through, we can empathize with them. If we just blast through it and say, that was garbage, I want to throw that away, never want to think about that again, we can't empathize with another human. So you've got to make good on what we go through.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the way that you sort of distribute this message, James, is through your weekly podcast called the Wins and Losses Buddy. It's a fascinating concept where you will also bring together a global community. So I'm wondering if you can tell me all about the efforts.
Yeah. Well, there's a few ways people can tap into learning what it looks like to benefit from doing the work of looking at 50% of their life. So again, life is wins and losses. That's what life is. We perceive it that way. We experience it that way. The human is often going like, is this good or is this bad? It doesn't need to be good or bad, but that's often how we onboard initially. And so first step is just to de-escalate that feeling of I'm losing. And instead of having that loss feeling be bad, that we just be with it. And the first experience that allows you to get through and de-escalate and make it something new, just let it be. And so I have a community, and it's a no charge weekly noon call. And I invite every one of your listeners to come. It is quite interesting. When you observe people from around the world, they tap in and share a win from their week, a loss from their week, and other people observe. And you see the person who's sharing, or even the observation of the others, their eyes and the twinkle, when you just begin to realize that these people, and you're seeing them experience it, they're having a different feel towards when they share a win and they share a loss. It isn't like, oh, I'm good if I'm here and I'm bad if I did that. It's like, well, actually, it was a great week. How? We're not going to make positive of everything. We are just going to be with what the week delivered for us. And we get to now participate, and we get to give rise and answer to. Was it a good week? Did we gain from the week? Did we benefit from the week? Were we people that when something came along, we had to change the facts to make ourselves look better? Could we just look at the facts for what they were and see clearly? Because unless you see clearly first the facts and be okay with it in a non-resistant way, you'll never go to the next step, which is see it better than it is. You first have to see it as it is, then you see it better than it is. So first you got to get clear. So this call, people come in, it's an hour-long call. You can stay for as long as you wish. We do a little teaching. So it's the entry level. And that, my friend, like you say, global. We bring this call. This is my free offering to the world. And that's step one. Step two, if you want to do the work a little deeper, and some of you who are listening, you know who you are. You're feeling it right now. You're going, I want to do that, and I want to integrate, and I want to do deep. I want to bring all of the passion that I have to this table. I no longer want to waste my time and walk past 50% of my life. And what's 50%? All over again. It's the areas in life where in the past you believe you lost, and so you're just pushing off, you're not utilizing, you're trying to eliminate, you're trying to get rid of. You now bring those things safely in. And so people go, how do you do that? How do you do that and still feel like you're doing a good job? And I'm like, actually, those are the lessons often. The painful things, when you push them no longer away, but you draw them in. We do what the world would say is heavy work in a light way. We have fun. So step one is come to the community call. But some of you want to go right past the community call and you want to connect with me on a discovery call to do one-on-one coaching. Reach out to me. You can find me on a few different channels. So that's kind of the weekly wins and losses. Hope I answered that question properly. But we have a community, come in and experience. And if you want to stay at that level, amazing. If you want to go to the next level, amazing. If you want to skip the first level to get the second, do as you wish. We're here for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then tell me, in your view, what does it mean to maximize potential in life?
Yeah, isn't that such a great question, Kevin? Maximizing potential. We could go on and on about that one. And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but often people are maximizing potential. What they do is they say, well, I drove past a bookstore today and I must read all the books that call me. Fair enough. You might be there. Good. Enjoy it. Some people say, I got to do that. Plus, or they say, I must go to all the seminars. That's awesome. I must discover who's in here. I think what I can probably agree with on everyone, what maximizing potential is, it's literally returning back to the home that we came from. When we arrived, that was when we were born. We don't have to wait to arrive. We arrived when we were born. And we had all things we had need of when we were born. We just entrained ourselves to start pushing things away because we weren't rewarded for certain behaviors or thinking a certain way. And so maximizing your potential is to come back to the story of who we've always been. And that is to reawaken to what we already know. We already know what we need to know to live an abundant, a great life, a beneficial human life to us and the world around us. We know what that looks like. And so to maximize potential, and again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but I know of no other way to maximize potential when at the heart of it, beneath the seminar, beneath the books, beneath all of it, is safely onboarding and doing the work to maximize what's directly in front of us and each one of you. What's in front of you, listeners? What are you choosing to participate with? And what are you thinking, this is waste. I don't want to participate with that. We all have things like that in our life. Maximizing is to participate with whatever life gives you. And you have an invitation to harmonize with what is in front of you. It's your gift. It's the thing that was sent to you exactly on this step of your journey to help you along. And there are specific optics and metrics and things to learn and glean from that are here to support the foundation of what you're all about, the passions you have. And I know it looks bizarre often. We're like, well, how could me having a flat tire on a freeway be the thing that I need now? And going to a meeting, how could this be the thing? Maximizing your potential isn't trying to change a tire in anxiety and being like, I should be at the bookstore, I should be at the seminar. It is to experience right where you are, be where your feet are, participate with what is directly in your hands or directly in front of you. When you're present with that and you mine from that, you don't need to be anywhere but that. Maximizing your potential, life will give you exactly what you need for the moment. And what it's going to require is trust. It's going to look really odd to you. Flat tire, the restaurant delivered the wrong food, Uber Eats didn't come again. Whatever it is, maximizing, participating with it, not letting what's happening turn into bad news. It's just news. It's not bad news. It's just news. It's just giving you an indication and you get to be with it.
Yeah,
participate.
Absolutely. And James, as a results coach, I'm sure you deal with people, you know, no matter where you come from in life. We all celebrate challenges and tragedies differently. So my next question has to do with overcoming tragedy or adversity and using failure as an opportunity to learn. Because I know you also talk about having the mental and emotional courage to do the difficult things when an adversity strikes. So tell me, how can we use adversity and failure as a tool for prosperity?
Great question. Well, let's say it like this, and I'll make it as easy for the listeners as possible. Failure is a big word. Failure often goes straight to identity. We take it to like, if I failed, then I might be a failure. So it goes from something that happened to all of a sudden us being, maybe we are that. And what do we do when we feel like a failure? Well, the house crumbles, it topples. We lose all of our being, all of our courage, and we begin to think we're not cut out for what actually life is. And that's the last thing we want, because ask yourself, listeners, when you're needed most, who doesn't want to have the ability, the activated ability to show up with exactly what's needed in that moment? That's what we all want. To know what to do is amazing. But to have appear and through our actions, the action when it actually matters. Knowledge helps nothing if you don't deliver when it matters most. So bringing into you and letting it transform, like we said earlier, through integrating, will allow you to bring in the moment what's most required. And so to the point on failure. Failure, again, it's one of those words. It's got a spike protein attached to it. Failure makes people think, I don't want it. I don't want failure. The only thing is, failure is such a massive opportunity. Failure will show you who you are. Failure will reveal to you what you do with it. If you choose to say, when I fail, I won't act, you'll probably not act for a while until you get sick of not acting and not participating, is what I mean. And you'll begin to participate again. We as humans all have a need for variety. We need to do something other than what we've done for too long. And so if we've been not participating because failure revealed to us we didn't participate, then eventually we'll start participating. We'll put our hand back on the table. We'll put our hand back into, hey, humanity, I'm back. I'm here. I'm not depressed anymore. I'm here. I'm here. And so when I think about failure, we tend to learn in life, and I'm 46 now, speaking from personal experience, we tend to have these things where, and listeners, relate with me best you can on this. I know you all can. When we first experience failure, and we probably don't know, we don't remember when the first time is that we experience this feeling of, I failed at this, but I want you to think about the length of time that you were paralyzed, or you're shell shocked. Think about that, the amount of time. So the thing is here, think about the duration of time that you were not participating. Your hands weren't within it and participating in that space. Now, what I want you to think is where you're at today. So whether that's, you remember the first time you failed when you're 10 and today you're 27, so that's 17 years beyond. Think about the amount of time that when you feel failure that you don't participate. Ask yourself, is that duration of time shortened or is it lengthened? In life, we begin to realize that we have choices to make. We can take and utilize and make safe, or we can say it's dangerous and exclude. If we make dangerous and exclude, the length of time of not acting is prolonged. When we observe that we're beginning to want to make safe, we're beginning to learn lessons, and that is, everything is designed for us not to check out of life, but it's designed for us to reflect, to be still, and then to know. So be still with it. We don't have to instantly act, take a moment to reflect, but then come back to it relatively soon and participate with it. Because that's what life is. We get to co-create with it. So failure is actually a really important thing. And what we all want, and listeners, what we all want, you included, is we want to shorten the time of inactivity after we feel like we fail. And when we do that successfully, and again, it comes through participating with a win and a loss, making safe both of them, and gleaning from it, not churning the loss into some positive news bullshit, but let it be the good news. Let it serve. Let it bring into your life. Let it show you exactly what's needed and what you need to just be okay with and what you can learn from. Why go constantly learn from books and seminars? Those are all fine. Nothing against them. But unless we're maximizing what's directly in front of us, we're walking past liquid gold or experiential gold. So artists of experience, I think, to tap back into what you said earlier, I literally help people open up to the experience of taking in something that they have just shielded from, tried to protect themselves from, and society's wrong when they say that failure is bad. We actually want all of life. It teaches us plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. And James, my final question for you today, Bonnie, is all about building bridges of acceptance and celebrating life. So when you look at your own life and the lives that you hope to impact, how do you think we work to sort of celebrate life and build bridges of acceptance? And then just finally, when you look at your life, how do you want your own individual and personal legacy to be defined?
Mm-hmm. I think acceptance and inclusion, those are big words, like our surrender. Some people think surrender means you throw the white flag and you check out. It's not what surrender is. Acceptance isn't to say I get to check out and do nothing and just feel like somebody's controlling this. Acceptance is to say I accept the challenge, perhaps, that I get to work on the things that are directly in front of me. I accept these things that are here are for me. And I trust them. And I trust that these are for me. The good news is that they're for me, not for someone else, so my story looks different. How many people don't have a story where suffering and pain, or I got this ambition, somebody else doesn't. The world doesn't understand me. Who doesn't have stories like that? Ask yourself, though, when you arrived, when you were born, that's when you arrived. Ask yourself, you were born with a passion and an obsession that other people probably don't have, at least not to your degree. When you accept that the world likely won't understand, because, and why should they? Not to the degree that you do. You're different. You are made to hold this in a certain way, and you're driven to be that person. So ultimately, integrating is what we all want. Integration, I've said it over and over, I'll say it again. Being a bridge builder requires that we integrate. Bridge building, if you think about in the US, for example, in Canada, or any political system, and I'm not much about politics, but I'll say it this way. United States, far left, far right, what is this? And apparently, we get together in groups, not even because we love the group we're part of, it's just that we've chosen a common enemy. So the right says our common enemy is the left says our common enemy is the right. So the common enemy, that's why people get energized often towards a certain movement. And so when you think about being in the middle, you think about being a bridge. To me, what a wasted life to try to separate. The truth is we're not separate from each other. The truth is we have way more in common with each other, way more than there are things that are cutting and dividing us. A bridge builder looks at these two things and says, tension. One thing's like this and one thing's like this. A bridge builder makes safe tension in their life. It doesn't say, I don't want tension. I got to decide this or that. A bridge builder says this and that and makes room for all of it. Not so he can be just a floozy. So people say, well, I guess you haven't made up your mind. Like, wait a minute. Whoa. I have made up my mind. I have made up my mind that the human's highest calling and the human feels best and most beneficial when it utilizes all for the gain of what it's designed for. If someone thinks handguns are good and somebody thinks they're horrible, this is a healthy environment. They say that if you go into a room of people and somebody asks a question like, who all agrees with this? Now, sometimes, like if somebody would say, who agrees that this whole earthly existence is about love? Everybody raises their hand. Well, that's great, because that's true. That's a universal truth. But when you talk perspective truths, and let's say back to guns, you say, who here thinks that guns are great? If everybody raises their hand, or let's even make the conversation a little bit more in depth, who here thinks semi-automatic guns should be allowed and to be sold in the free market. Who thinks that's a great idea? If everyone raises their hand, that's not a room of people that you want to be in, because nobody thinks exactly the same way. No one does. And so if you find yourself in a room of complete agreement, that's not healthy. You want to find yourself in a room full of healthy tension, because we're all different. When we make safe that someone goes, well, I think like that. Other person, I think like that. I had a lady on my show, or actually she was on my show, sorry. And she's a lawyer, a litigation lawyer. And one of her concepts, and I love it, this is what she stands for: conflict without combat. So how could we make safe the tension without letting it destroy us and create warring divisions? Things are not sent to divide us. Things were sent to bring us together. But what's needed is we make safe within ourselves that it's not good or bad. People have viewpoints, and we want to bring differing things together so that we can evolve the narrative, and we can actually go, oh, you think like that? That's interesting. You don't have to choose left or right here, Mr. or Mrs. You can be right here. And the human goes, wow, that's kind of interesting. So a bridge builder, the legacy, to top off your question there. I used to be more concerned about legacy. I'm a little less concerned about legacy today, because here's the thing. I don't need to be remembered really for anything. It's not me that I care to be remembered, have anything attached to. I don't need that. I don't need me to run from. I'm just at a place now, I'll say it like this. Personally, this is just my own experience. But if I have the need of having anything that I have done have my name attached to it, I'm probably just anxious, and I'm striving to be remembered past my life. And that doesn't mean that if I'm not remembered, that I wasn't beneficial. As a matter of fact, I want people to attach, if there's a movement. And so movement, I'm fine with. So legacy and movement, great. My name attached to, I could care less. I want society to really tap into the good news that it's always actually known, and for us to return to it. Listen, the news channels are what they are. You can use them for good. You can use them for not so great. But I want us all to tap into the good news that life is. We become so proficient at turning everything into bad news, everything into fear, everything. I want society to tap into that. Life is here. It's good. Though it can be dangerous at times, it's actually safer than what you and I thought all along. And it becomes safer when we go like, oh, I have a flat tire. I was supposed to go to the event and speak. And instead of being like, that's the bad news, why would this be sent to take me down? Actually, everything is designed to meet you where you're at. Everything in life was brought to you, whatever that ends up being. It was brought to you as your gift. So I want people to see life as a gift versus an expectation. I want people to be grateful for their life. I want people to tap in instead of trying to tap out constantly.
Yeah, absolutely. And James, tell me, if people want to get connected with you, buddy, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah. You can go to my website and just go to www.jamesheppner.com. So it's JamesHeppner.com. There you'll find, and again, there'll be some of you that will likely be like, I'd like to talk with him and talk about what one-on-one coaching would look like. That's my top tier program. I only work with people that are hungry and eager and active behind their own rescue. My one-on-one work is precious to me, and all work is precious, but that group of people, and you know who you are. If you're serious, reach out to me and you'll find their contact page, and you can connect with me there, and that hooks up directly to my email. And just send me a note and just share with me. And you might not know what it is you're looking for, but just reach out and say hello and do what you wish there. So again, you know who you are. Just do that.
Second, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Secondly, for those of you that want to tap into the weekly wins and losses call, that's on Friday at noon, no charge. come experience. It's quite something. I'm not selling this. It is just what it ends up being. I invite you to come. And there you can either go to my webpage I gave you, or you can go directly to the webpage by typing in weeklywinsandlosses.com. So weekly, the way it's spelled, wins, the way it's spelled, and then and losses, just as it sounds.com.
Fantastic. Well, James, I really enjoyed having a conversation with you about life engagement and results-oriented coaching, but your work in the space, and Tom, on my behalf, is most appreciated, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate working with you, Kevin. It's been an honor, and I want to wish you just the very best. And thanks again for having me here. I really appreciate it.